this is Brian, and today we're working on an E60 and we're going to be installing a rear view camera, the SmartView HD, and the all-new high-resolution screen by Beamertech. Before working on any electrical components in your car, it's always a good idea to remove the negative terminal of the battery, which is located on the rear passenger side in the 5 Series. So to remove the battery, first you need to remove the 2 plastic fasteners. There's 2 plastic fasteners, one's located here, one's located over here. And what you do is you just turn these 90 degrees, and then they'll pull right out. So go ahead and do the same with the other. Next, what you want to do is gently lift up the floor liner and then pull this compartment out. And this will give you access to the battery. Then with a 10mm socket, remove the negative terminal of the battery. Now what we need to do is we need to remove the rear trunk liner so that we can install the rear view camera. So let's start by removing the roadside hazard kit. First, what you want to do is you want to just gently twist this counterclockwise to unscrew it. And it's going to fall down. There's a piece of plastic here that holds it in place. Just twist it sideways and then take that out of your way. Then if you look right here, you'll see that there's actually a felt covered screw, and there's one over here. These are both Phillips heads. So go ahead and take a Phillips head driver and remove these. Okay, so you can see there's the screw, and it has a nice felt covering on top. Then what you do is you just gently slide this up and place it out of the way. Okay, then what I like to do before removing the fasteners, there's a light and then there's the emergency trunk release handle. So go ahead and pull that down, press this tab and pull this out. It's always very important to note, never shut your trunk with the battery disconnected. Otherwise you're going to have to jump the car from the front to pop the trunk because it's all electronic. Then what you want to do is you want to reach up and gently pull down the light and disconnect it. Lastly, what we need to do is we need to remove the 14 plastic fasteners. So there's 4 across the top, then there's 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and then in the holes there's 1, another one here, and then there's 1 on each end. So just go ahead and slide your Beamertech trim tool in, and then gently pull up, and this is what the fasteners look like, and they'll pull right out. So go ahead and do that to the other 13. And once you remove that last fastener, the trunk liner will just fall right down. So now it's time to install the new camera handle. What you want to do, now that we have the trunk liner off, there's a nice big gap right here. You want to reach your hand up behind the handle, and there's a few clips that secure it in place on either side. And what you want to do is you want to just gently pull it down, and then it'll pop right out. So just go ahead and start from the top. Just release the one clip, and then the next, and then the handle will just roll out. There's one connection, so go ahead and disconnect that and connect it to the new camera. Your camera's going to have the new rear view camera wire, so you're just going to have to feed that in the car. Pull all the wires in, and then clip it into the back first. Press in the front, and then you're all set. Next, what we need to do is we need to run the rear view camera extension cable, and that's going to stem from the rear view camera itself all the way up to the multimedia interface. So to do that, we have to do 2 things. So if you look right up here, there's 1 more plastic fastener. Slide your Beamertech trim tool in here to release it. Pull that out of the way. Then what you want to do is you want to pull this down, and what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be feeding the rear view camera wire through this trunk support right here. So in the back of it, you'll notice that there's actually a rubber grommet. So you want to just go ahead and just gently wiggle that so that it's loose. And that's going to be able to enable us to feed the wire all the way through. Now what we need to do is we need to get the rear view camera extension cable through this tube right here. So what you're going to want to do is get a sturdy wire, and what we like to do is we like to put a little bend in the end, just so that we have something to grab onto with the extra wire. Just like that, and then put a piece of electrical tape over it. And it's just so it doesn't scratch any of the paint. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to get the rear view camera cable through this arm right here and up to this point here. So what we need to do is we need to feed our wire down this pipe. There are some other wires in here, and sometimes it can be a little bit tacky because of the tape that BMW uses. So what we recommend is just take a very small amount of Vaseline or another lubricant and put it on the end, and that's going to help the wire slide through easier. All right, now we can see our wire feeder down here. So what we're going to do is take that end of your rear view camera extension cable and just put a piece of electrical tape over it. And this is just going to protect the end. Then with another piece of electrical tape, what you want to do is go ahead and tape it to your feeder wire, and then very carefully pull it back up. Now that the rear view camera extension cable is all the way through, what we're going to do is go ahead and connect it to the rear view camera and then secure it either using electrical tape or heat shrink. All right, so once you've applied your heat shrink or your electrical tape, go ahead and secure your camera's cable. Then once you get to this point, very carefully pull the camera cable back through and then reinsert the rubber end. Now what we need to do is we need to remove the rear seat in preparation to feed the wire through. So what you want to do is, I've already done this side, in the center of the seat, just go ahead and just firmly pull up, and that'll release the clip, and then you can just slide this out of the way. Now that the rear seat's out of the way, what we're going to do is we can go ahead and finish running the rear view camera wire. So make sure that you leave a good amount of slack just to account for the movement of the trunk. Then what you want to do is go ahead and mount this wire to this other harness over here. We need to get the rest of the cable through the back seat. Now this back seat is a fixed seat, so what you want to do is create a wire feeder. What we did here is we just bent a sturdy wire in half and then made an electrical tape handle, just so that there's no rough edges. What you want to do is just right over here, just get your wire. You want to just go ahead and feed it a good amount of way through, and what that's going to do is it's going to go under where the seat would have been, and we'll see that in just a second. So go ahead and continue running this wire along the edge here, and then just tuck it into this corner over here so that it's out of sight. Now what you want to do is take the end of your camera cable, insert it through the loop, and then very carefully press it through to the other side. You may need to actually pry open some of the space just to allow enough space for the RCA to get through. Then on the other side, go ahead and pull your feeder all the way through, and then gently go ahead and pull the rest of your cable through. Then take your camera cable and place it behind the seat belt, and then what we're going to do is we're going to line it along the side of the car. We need to remove this piece of trim, so just go ahead and gently lift up and place that aside. Then continue running it under the carpet to the front of the car. A lot of times when you remove the trim, the fasteners will actually stick into the car. So what you want to do is either use your BeamerTech trim tool or another tool and gently pry these up And then what happens is these actually slide in, and then you can reinsert the piece. Now at the front of the car, you want to go ahead and do the same thing. Just so you know, these do require some force sometimes, so don't be surprised if it doesn't just pop right up very easily. Okay, and as you can see, we had another one stick in the car, so we'll go ahead and pop that out and then slide it right back in the track, and then we'll be able to reinsert that. Now that this piece of trim is removed, what we can do is just go ahead and gently press this piece forward and then do it on the other side. And then that's going to give us enough space to run the rear view camera wire through the carpet. Once you're done with that, go ahead and replace the rubber weather stripping. And click the fasteners back into place. Go ahead and continue to run your rear view camera cable wire. And then once you get up here to the A-pillar, what you want to do is just gently pull it off. There's just a couple clips that secure it in place. And then continue running your wire under the carpet. Next, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and remove the trim of the vehicle. So go ahead and insert one of your BeamerTech trim tools into the edge and then gently pry up. And then just gently work your way across to the other side. And then what you want to do is just very evenly and very carefully pull this out. And then underneath here, you're going to see the button for the hazard and for the door lock. So go ahead and push that forward. And then there's one clip on here. And then this entire piece will just come right out. And we'll just set this aside. So now what we want to do is we're going to actually remove the screen and we're going to replace it with the BeamerTech high resolution screen. So what you'll need for this is a T10, and there are just 2 screws that sit up top here. So go ahead and remove these. Then once those are removed, what you want to do is just gently rock it down and the unit will come completely out. And then you'll find 2 connections, one on the back and one on the side. Go ahead and remove those. Now what we need to do at this point is we need to set the dip switches. You'll notice that there's dip switches both on the multimedia interface and also on the screen as well. So be sure to go ahead and set those appropriately to your car. For this installation, we're going to set the dip switches as follows. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all going to be set to off, and number 7 is going to be set to on. For the multimedia interface HD, we're going to set numbers 1 through 4 on and 5 through 8 off. Now it's time to set up the multimedia interface. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start with the main harness, and you're going to plug this into AV1. And this is going to give you your RCAs and also your USB, which we're going to use for the SmartView HD. Then what you want to do is take your new video cable, and you're going to put this into MMI LVDS out. And that's what's going to connect into the back of the screen when we get to that point. Next, what you want to do is go ahead and plug the other RCA harness into where it says AV in. And these are for additional accessories. Next, plug the antenna into the far left spot. The last switch is our mode selection switch, and this is what's going to activate and deactivate any of the accessories such as the SmartView HD. And what we need to do is we need to go into the main harness, and there's a connection called toggle. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and connect this there. So now it's time to mount the multimedia interface HD and also the SmartView HD. So what you want to do is go ahead and get your HDMI cable and go ahead and plug that into the device. And then coming from the device, you'll notice an IR sensor, and then you'll also notice a USB. The USB is where it's going to get its power from. The HDMI is where it's going to get its video from. Then we need to mount the IR sensor in a location where it can be in direct sight of the remote to work. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to take the HDMI cable that stems from the device and go ahead and plug it into HD in. Then in the main wiring harness, you'll find a USB connection. Take the USB connection from the SmartView HD and go ahead and connect that as well. Then go ahead and mount the SmartView HD to the multimedia interface HT. Make sure that you're not covering up any of the air vents. What we're going to do is we're going to use some 3M molding tape along with a zip tie. Then go ahead and mount the multimedia interface HD. Now what we need to do is we need to run the mode selection switch and also the IR sensor for the SmartView HD. So for this, what you need to do, there's a piece of plastic right here. You want to go over the plastic and then under. Then what you want to do is you want to feed your sturdy wire. From the inside here, there's a little hole that you can go through and it'll come out right below the steering column. So what we're going to do now, take another piece of electrical tape, tape these to your wire feed, and then gently pull them through. Then make sure that these wires are out of the way of your air vent. So as you can see, your wires are here below the steering column. If you need a little more space to work with, this piece just clips right down. What we're going to do is we're going to mount the mode selection switch and put a piece of molding tape on the back of your IR sensor in a location where it can be seen in direct sight by the remote. Then gather up your wires and secure and hide them. Now that we've mounted the multimedia interface HD behind the screen, we need to run the rear view camera up there as well. So what you want to do is continue running the camera cable under the carpet. Now when you get to the glove box, if you open the door, you can actually reach your hand up behind. What you can do is then feed the wire up through there, and then again right up through this opening at the top. And then just pull that wire tight. Once you get to this point where your rear view camera wire is coming out this opening right here, you want to tape it to your wire feeder. And then what you want to do is you want to feed your wire in. Until it comes out here. Just go ahead and pull this across. Then feed it up and over the vent. And out the opening. Now take your rear view camera connections and you want to look for the yellow cable. And this one's called RCVBS. Go ahead and plug that in. And then look for the white connection that says RCAM 12 volt. And we're going to go ahead and connect that. The last cable we need to install is the audio cable, and this is what's going to supply audio from the multimedia interface HD to the car. So what it does is we'll actually plug this into the aux jack into the armrest. So we'll show you how to do that. So to do this, what we're going to need to do is just reach over to this to the front of this carpeting and gently slide it back, and this piece will pop right off. Then what we need to do is we need to feed a wire from the top down and have it come out this hole right here. Okay, so go ahead and find your audio out RCAs and plug in this extra cable. Sometimes it's good to apply some electrical tape just to make sure that the connection stays nice and tight together. Then feed this wire back and under this plastic here. Then electrical tape the other end to your wire feed and gently pull it through the hole. Then what you're going to want to do is pull it actually out through this other hole here, because you're going to have room for that clip. Alright, so start to snug that up. Always again make sure that the RCAs are going over your air vent. You never want to have that interference. You want to just gently feed the wire up. And continue tucking this wire in.
Then follow this seam all the way to the armrest. Then once you get to this point, the wire will fall nicely into this nice little groove, and you can go ahead and just plug it into the aux port. All right, the last step is go ahead and bundle up all of your excess wires and make sure that you tuck them out of the way. Then what you want to do is go ahead and insert the power wire. Then you want to do the OEM LVDS in, and that's going to be that metal one that we removed earlier. So just go ahead and slide that in. Then for the MMI LVDS in, you want to take that new cable that stems from the Multimedia Interface HD. Go ahead and plug that in. Okay, then rotate it into place and reinstall the screws. So at this point, the installation is completed. If you follow our step-by-step guide, if you're doing it your first time, it'll probably take you about 3 to 4 hours to do it. If you're more experienced, we did today's installation in about 2 hours. So thanks for watching and have a great day.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you may also like this one. Also, be sure to visit us online at www.beamer-tech.net and feel free to contact us at any time at info@beamer-tech.net. Thanks so much.